This is Andy's DIY. I'm going to show you what I had to do to unclog my Mr. Coffee 1-cup Keurig coffee machine here. This is the machine that I have. This is the bottom plate. So you can see what I'm working with here. I think most of them are designed about the same, but I'll show you what I did to fix mine. So as far as getting into this thing, you'll have these two cover panels here. In order to get this off, you got to take this bottom plate off, which goes here. And you'll see this sort of screws around there. And there's little rubber things here, and I think or here and up here. Those pull out and expose those screws. That's where you start. Once you get this off, then you'll basically get you just like a butter knife or a screwdriver. Just gently kind of pop these things off. This will pop. Both these panels will pop up, and that'll expose your screws, your remaining screws in here, which will allow you to get the back loose. The back just you kind of pop it loose and it pulls down. That allows you to get to the inner works of the machine. This is your pump. On some of the machines, my model is obviously here. Some of them, this actual pump part kind of runs up into here. So mine's here, but that's what you're looking for with the pump. A lot of people are saying they could squeeze that, and I think that fixed mine last time. The other common thing is they're running like, some kind of a wire through the little needle here, and obviously the needle down here. What happened with mine was that didn't work either. I first tested my pump. I went ahead and I don't know how safe that was, so y'all can take your own chances there, but not touching anything. I plugged it in, filled it up, and then I basically unhooked this and just held it over some water, over a cup, just to make sure that this was working, and it did. It pumped on out fine, which I'm sure probably most of them will. So at least I know from here back I'm good. So really all that's left is this tube here that runs up to this piece here. This is what people are running their needle through. That's what actually pokes into the K-cup. That goes on that in there. So that's really all that's left to deal with. So what I did was when I disconnected that, I got a pressure hose, leaving this still intact, and hooked up to it, and I couldn't get any air through it at all. So I knew I had some coffee grounds. It must have been stuck up in there. I think the problem with mine is when I was using the needle, this thing to poke it out, it was just moving it around like a pile of sand. It wasn't clearing the blockage on it. So what I did with mine was, and we'll see how this goes back together here, but what I did was I took this thing like this, and before I pulled it out, I made sure I had this kind of serpentine. That's how I'm gonna put it back in. But as I was pulling it out up in here, kind of backing it all the way back out, you can see how this wire is run. I now have a snake kind of in place, so when I want to pull it back in, I'll just kind of work it back into place. I'll probably tape it down really good to get the tube back in. But when I pulled the tube out, I had a big pile of coffee grounds right here that wouldn't clear at all. And so I had to basically pull it off, and I blew it all out. But that's what my problem was. It was clogged up right through here. And that needle just wasn't enough poking on it to get it to clear. So that's where my problem was. There's something else out there along with the other videos to show you how they unplug theirs or unclog theirs. One thing I forgot to show is in order to get this piece out here with this needle that punctures the top of the K-cup, you've got two screws here, and I had to use like a bendy screwdriver. It's really kind of tough to get in there, but you're going to need something like this to get in there unless you want to try to take this all apart. Also, when I went to pull the line back through, I used some long needle nose pliers to pull everything back through and hook it back up to the pump. Last thing is as I put this together, I realized you don't really have to take the bottom off. All you gotta do is take this screw out and this screw out, and then this thing will pop out. You take your tray off here, but this thing will pop out the bottom. This whole thing pops off. So the only thing different is you can leave this on.